Last year, fires that started on Labor Day weekend accounted for more than 70% of all acres burned in 2020. The Babb Road Fire engulfed 2 towns, destroying more than 80% of all buildings in Malden and Pine City. Now, it forced nearly 200 residents to evacuate, but thankfully, no one was killed. The fire started when a tree hit a live power line owned by Avista. Now, this morning, Tim Pham is in Malden today on the 1-year anniversary of that Babb Road Fire. He has the latest on recovery efforts. Good morning, Tim.
Good morning to you, Channing. Yeah, recovery efforts will be a long road ahead. And this morning I'm joined by Mayor Dan Harwood. Dan, let me first by saying I'm sorry for what happened to your community, and thank you for what you've done for the community to rebuild so far. But as I said, it's going to be a long road, and you know that. You've been working with the folks here for 10 months now as you started your first year as mayor.
Yes, you know, it's a marathon, it's not a sprint. You know, and the needs are many, but I want to remind folks that, you know, we didn't lose anybody during the fire. And that's the good news. We have 23 families that are living in recreational vehicles, and it would just crush me to lose someone to carbon monoxide or a fire. RVs are great, but they're not meant for year-round living in the Pacific Northwest.
Absolutely. And so, yeah, rebuilding, you know, this is really unprecedented. You know, sometimes you think about a wildfire, they're devastating no matter what, whether or not a home or a business gets destroyed. But this was really an entire community. You know, you told me off camera that, you know, only about 125 or 120 people are currently living here. What are some of the really biggest barriers to getting people back here to the community?
Time.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of these folks did not have insurance, and so that's why we're looking for funding, and folks can donate to Novia or United Way or Red Cross. All those organizations have funds dedicated to the rebuilding in Malden, and those funds will be dedicated for, you know, whatever we need for the residents. We have an excellent organization, the Long-Term Recovery Group, and they are primarily with, you know, working on housing for the folks. But where this spring we bought or could build a house for $60,000, this fall and winter it's going to be $80,000 to $90,000.
Right, especially with the rising cost of lumber and, you know, labor, it is very expensive. I want to ask you, you know, you talked about the restoration group, but there's also been so many generous people who have stepped up to help make a difference, whether that's donations or, you know, the woman that we talked to who had her house built and donated by folks in Montana. Talk about that support and how overwhelming you told me it is to just have all people from everywhere step up to help.
We've had donations from Florida to Alaska.
Wow.
You know, one of the things yesterday is we remembered our loss, but we celebrated our gain. And our gain is so many wonderful people have come and donated. There was a family that handed out Oreo packages of Oreo cookies.
I love that.
And on that package, there was an envelope, and they were going around and putting and giving those packages that contained a $50 bill.
Oh,
you know,
wow.
And that was their stimulus money. And they said, we can't think of a better place to donate that other than here.
That is wonderful.
You know, I can't thank everybody enough. If I start naming names,
it will be
I will be in trouble.
Yeah. Well, Mayor Dan Harwood, we have another interview coming up with you on our 7 o'clock hour, so we'll check back in with you in a little bit. Thank you so much for your time. Yeah, in the meantime, if you want to help, you can contact the Inovia Fund, United Way, or the Red Cross. And again, much more with Mayor Dan Harwood coming up on the CW22.